Whatever stage you're at with your trading, it's important to stop and gain perspective before planning your next move. Take a break from the charts and join in the discussion with our hosts, Jason Graystone and Akil Stokes, as they share insights, opinions and expertise on all things trading. Grab a coffee, pull up a chair and join the Trader Coffee Break.
All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. This is the Trader Coffee Break. I hope you got your coffee at the ready. I'm Jason Graystone.
I'm Akil Stokes.
And this is the session where we just grab a coffee and we get away from the charts for a bit. We do a little bit less and we talk about more, how we can progress, how we can gain more perspective on our goals and where we're going with this trading journey, and we just rant. Right, Akil? We just talk.
Pretty much, but educational rants, as we talked about a little bit pre-show. Like it's what we're going to do with the channel here. It's going to be an amazing reference guide for anyone. We were talking about how we often get so many questions and comments just on the different social media platforms about, hey, what about this? What about that? And we're usually crafting up like this long paragraph. And now it's just like, wait a minute. Just go to this channel, watch it. That topic is going to be there. If it's not there already, it will be there in the future. And it's a cool place that is not just created by the things we want to talk about, but more importantly, the things that you want to talk about and the questions that you bring to us. So it's going to be a year from now. It's going to be crazy. The type of reference guide this becomes.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how much this is getting shared around a year from now. And people are really sending people to this channel because it's got, as you say, everything you need. Mm-hmm. So this week's topic was recommended to us by one of our traders in our trading community. And we're going to talk a little bit about accountability because very, very important. Something I've embraced for many, many years. I've got my own accountability partner. I've been part of groups. I've always had accountability of some sort. And the thing is this, when you go into trading, it's not the most like it doesn't get you, not all parts of trading makes your things come alive, right? It doesn't make you too excited. And there's going to be troughs in that journey, which you need help with, because if it's just down to you, the chances are you won't get. And the way I've always looked at accountability is the easiest way is from a fitness point of view. Why people get fitness trainers and personal trainers, because there's only a certain point you can get your body to before you literally start trying to survive and avoid pain. So you will retract. And that's why you need people to push you. That's why you need coaches. That's why you need, imagine a rubber band attached to your waist and you're trying to run across a room and touch a button on the other side of the room. You on your own will only get you so far. Whereas if someone's going, right, come now, come more, you're more likely to push a little bit further towards that goal, that button, and push that button. And that's really what accountability is. It really makes sure that you're staying on track, you're focused, you're making progress, as incremental as that might be. And it really does wonders for your journey in no matter what you're doing. So I thought it cool to start talking about kind of different types of accountability, because Akil, you've got an interesting story about when you went into trading, right?
I do, yeah. And it's funny you just mentioned that about kind of you can only go to a certain level. Because I just heard this this awesome story yesterday. I was listening to some type of sports radio show. And we have the NBA playoffs going on here. And it was a game where one team, basically, if they lost, their season was over. And it was a good game. The radio announcer said that, hey, both teams played great. One team gave 100% effort and another team gave 110% effort. And usually I hate that term. It's like, 110% effort. How can you give 110%? Like, you can't give more than 100. But he gave a good example. He said when, if you take Usain Bolt, right, at the Olympics, probably the biggest stage, back when he was running, he's going to give his all to win that race and break records and stuff. However, if you put Usain Bolt in the forest and he was being chased by like a grizzly bear, he's probably going to run faster than he did at the Olympics, right? That is that extra 10% where it's that survival instinct that you have to do this in order to survive. And you can't channel that type of desperation by yourself. So I love what you said about getting people to push you to the next limit, because you can say all the right things, you can do all the right things, but you're only going to take it so far until that pain threshold gets there and you start backing off a little bit. But once you have that desperation, or once you have that extra push, that's how you get that extra 10%, which is awesome. And that's kind of how my trading journey went. I was trying by myself for the longest period of time. I had no accountability, right? I didn't even put myself out there to the world. Really, I was embarrassed about what I was doing and whatnot. And I kept going into the same cycle where I would get a little bit good and then I'd take steps back, and I get a little bit good and I take steps back, right? Kind of like a diet where you make some progress and then you fall off the wagon and you're back to square one. And my form of self-accountability, because I was able to notice this about myself, was like, I needed to put my back against the wall. I needed to have that desperation type of feel. And at the time, I didn't have anyone to push me because everyone, really didn't support what I was doing. So I decided, not the greatest idea in the world, but I decided to quit all of the jobs that I was working. I was working 3 jobs, making some good money, or at least at the time what I thought was good money. And I decided to quit all those good jobs, because quitting those jobs took me out of that comfortable situation. And it really stimulated this sense of urgency, this sense of desperation, where now I had to go that extra 10% in order to make it. And that's a form of self-accountability, where I was able to notice that about myself and put myself in a position to have, I guess, not others push me, but have to push myself to that next level until I can get to the point where I can find others that would hold me accountable. That only lasts so long.
Of course. And all you really did by doing that is creating a bigger cause, right? A bigger reason, a bigger why, because you've got a family, you've got to make it work or whatever. But then when you kind of go, right, I'm going to put myself in a worse situation now, the why is up here. You've now got to make it work. And all you've done is created a bigger cause, and a bigger cause beyond you is going to ultimately really, really help you with accountability. It's by having something. I remember when we did the Chestnut Treehouse run.
I was just thinking about that. I was just about to say that.
Yeah, right. I found that month much easier to run, because I just had in my head, like, I went and saw the kids, like I went and saw the place, and this incredible place, and I'm out there running. I'm not even, I've got nothing to complain about, and I'm running because it's so much easier. We raise the money, we give the money to the charity. The next day I'm like, this is harder. and it's so much easier when you've got some bigger cause, when you've raised the standards of what you're trying to get. And that's the key to accountability. You want to raise the standards, whether that's extreme accountability, like Akil just said, or maybe you do some self-accountability, or you put yourself out. So you just tell everyone what you're going to do. And that's really what we did with the Chestnut Treehouse. We just said, we're going to run, 100 kilometers, 1,100 kilometers, and we're going to do it in a month. And by doing that, everyone knows what you're going to do. If you're losing weight, if you're going to be a trader. If you're here now, and Akil just mentioned this, he said he was ashamed to talk about what he was doing. If you haven't told people what you're doing, let us know. Hit the like button on this video and leave a little comment to say, yeah, that's me. I haven't told anyone what I'm doing, because we're in this community together now. Let's try and raise the voices of this group and get a discussion going, so no one has this doubt and shame about being a trader, because that's going to hold you back as well.
And here's a question for you, Jason. So why don't more people put themselves out there? We could talk specifically in trading, we could talk in general, but what is the reason behind that fear of saying, like, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to lose this weight, I'm going to go on this this business venture? What is the reason? Is it just embarrassment, or is it something deeper than that?
I'd love to talk about this kind of psychology for a long time, but if you think about the core principle of it, right? The reason that you feel like you need accountability or to put yourself out there is because you're going to get a result that you don't have yet, right? So the reason you don't have the result yet is because it's not high enough on your priorities and your values. So by not putting yourself out there, deep down, you know that it's not important to you, right? Or it's not really something that you've got results in the past. So you don't want to put yourself out there because you're thinking, well, if I put myself out there, then I've got to do it. But the chances are I'm not going to do it. Otherwise, I'd have the result now. So that is why, you need to understand accountability can help you get over that, because there's some things that I say to people, look, just don't bother doing it. Like if people are trying to chase a Lamborghini and the reason they're not getting the Lamborghini is because really they just don't like cars, they're just trying to show off on the Instagram, then you're probably not going to achieve that Lamborghini. Just don't bother. Just go and do something else. Whereas there's certain things like health and, wealth building, which is really important stuff. And some people haven't had that high on their priorities till now. And there's ways to kind of shift your values on that so that it is important to you. And one of those is, first of all, identifying how it's going to help you long term and having that bigger cause, creating that bigger cause. Second of all, getting accountability, getting people to encourage you, surrounding yourself with the right people who are going to help you towards that goal and not people that are going to doubt you and feed into that voice in the back of your head that's already there that's going, told you couldn't do it. I told you wouldn't do it. That's why you shouldn't have put yourself out there. That's what you want to get rid of. And accountability is a major part of that.
That's big, what you just spoke about. I can't remember where I saw it, but I go through a bunch of articles each day, and there's one that I saved to my reading list, and it was talking about the fear of posting to social media, where people are fearful of posting to social media because there are comments, and you're afraid that you're going to get a negative comment. And imagine how free it would be on sites like, I forgot, there's this one picture site I'm a part of, but I don't think you can comment or anything, or there's no like button, no dislike button. And imagine the freedom that people feel when there's no kind of worry about, oh, what if someone leaves a mean comment? And I think it's so big we got to overcome that fear and just not care about what those naysayers feel. But you're right. Put yourself in a community where you're going to get supported instead of dragged down. And if you know that, hey, I've got a community of friends, a community of family, co-workers, a group on the internet, whatever it may be, if you're in a safe space, right? If you're in a safe space where you know that whatever you put out there, you're going to get honest, positive feedback. You may get criticism, but it's not negative criticism to discourage you. It's criticism meant to push you in the right direction. You're more likely to share. When you're more likely to share, like you said, you're more likely to kind of really live that one and go after that why. And that's massive. So I think it does start with eliminating eliminating those people in your circle that are going to pull you down. Right. And if you think about it, any of your best friends in life, like, again, they may be honest with you, they may be blunt, you want them to do that, but who's going to tell you you can't? Who's going to laugh at you for, like, those aren't real friends, and you need to get rid of them ASAP if you ever want to get kind of started on that track of success. It's so important, man.
Definitely. Yeah. Understand constructive criticism from just pure, feel hate. Yeah. Pure vile hate. That's kind of, because there is this kind of, there are a lot of people say, oh, you need to get rid of, negative people. You have to select carefully between what you think's negative. Some things, if it hurts you, the chances are it's true. Because if you say, and that is there to guide you and help you grow. Whereas if you just surrounded yourself in this perfect bubble where everyone was telling you was great, you'd stagnate. You wouldn't get any better because there's nowhere to go. Whereas someone going, listen, man, I don't think, remember this happened last time and where that got you? I think you should be careful here. Take that on board, because if something goes, oh yeah, that hurts. Why is that pushing my buttons? And if that's pushing your buttons, it's probably because there's something true about it. So it's understanding what that truth is and then going, right, thank you. I'm going to deal with that because that was in the back of my head. It was something I hadn't thought about. Now I'm going to deal with that and overcome that. And then you're empowered, then you move forward. And understanding that type of criticism and then being able to ignore just pure, ridiculous hate that's just someone who wants to do what you do but they can't, so so there's that. But going back to the accountability, something we built into tier 1 from day one is accountability groups. And the reason we have accountability groups is because everyone's got a different motivation, different goal, they're in a different situation in their life, they've got different amounts of capital, they've got all the wide range of a diverse range of people. And the goal for the accountability groups is for them to come out and express, probably for the first time verbally, what their goals are or what they're trying to do or what they're even doing right now. How many of you guys listening to this talk about your trading to anyone? Your wife, your partner, your husband, your parents, your kids? Probably not. You keep it all inside. And by doing that, it's just subconscious. It just dissolves every night. And then you kind of have to muster it up from inside of you to try and remember. If you tell someone something, Akil, you know this, if you teach someone or explain to someone something, the amount of subconscious information that just starts flowing out of you, you're like, wow, I didn't even know I knew that. You start teaching people stuff and you're thinking, God, even my own advice is like advising me.
And that's one of the coolest parts of it. We often think about accountability as being the person that is seeking accountability, but being the person that is holding someone else accountable, that's a form of accountability in its own right. I take you and me, for example, who, we do so much on social media, whether it's podcasts, whether it's this show, whether it's YouTube videos, whether it's live trading rooms and training lessons, right? Where we're looked at as basically people who hold the traders that we work with accountable, but at the same time, they're holding us accountable as well, because in order to teach different people, and everyone learns a little bit different terminology, and you have to have a different approach for each person, we've got to kind of go back and figure out, okay, how can I get my message across in a way that's going to make sense? Whether it's our live trading, right? We're human beings, right? I know we operate robotic in the market, but we get tempted. I get tempted to take trades I'm not supposed to take. I'm sure you get tempted to break your rules, but knowing that you've got everyone eyes watching you, you're like, like I can't, being this role model type of figure, you have to be held accountable to a certain standard. And I think that's the cool kind of the ecosystem that we have is, not to talk too much about our platform, but it's an awesome platform. It's you have your experienced traders, you have your newer traders, right? Your experienced traders reach down to help your newer traders. At the same time, in doing so, that boosts your experienced traders to the next level, and everyone just keeps growing at the same level. And the newer ones come in, you repeat the process, and it's that's why it works, man. It's one helping the other in the cycle of success, and it just gets stronger and stronger and stronger because everyone's accountable. So I think that's important to notice as well, that being an accountability partner for someone else is being held accountable in your own right.
It's two-way.
You have another responsibility. It's a two-way. It's relationship, right? It's a two-way path.
It's definitely two-way. Absolutely. That's one of the biggest benefits to teaching trading as well. The fact that you naturally become a better trader. It's like, I'm the most consistent I've ever been because I can't break the rules. And it's fantastic. So in terms of like actionable steps and recommendations for you guys, first one, big one, is to get some form of accountability going, even if that's in this community here, right here on YouTube, in this channel. In the comments, just put, I would love an accountability partner. Maybe put where you're from, maybe put so the time zones match, and just say, I'm looking for accountability partner if you guys are up for it. What we want to do is create a solid community here that are all progressing and growing in their trading. We don't want people to take a little nugget here, nugget there, walk away and think, oh yeah, it was cool. We want to grow this community on this channel. Me and Akil don't do this. We're ranting over a coffee break here, but it's still effort and energy to come and share this information and share these rants with you. But we're no different to you. We just want to rant and you join the discussion. So we want to help you, you help us. And the biggest thing you can do right now is to just put yourself out there. Say, look, I haven't told anyone what I'm doing right now. Go and tell someone, firstly. Secondly, get an accountability partner. Get a group together and get some kind of scoring system that holds you accountable. So, maybe create a little spreadsheet, write down what you're going to do each week. I want to hit 5 points, share that with the other person. They share theirs with you every Sunday. And then great, you've got to hit that every Sunday. And it could be the smallest thing. It could be, I'm just going to learn how to set up a charting package. I'm going to learn how to, set up a workspace on a charting package. It could be as simple as that. Tiny little things, but something you're going to do each week to make progress and get it done. Akil, you got any tips for accountability?
I think the scoring system is fantastic. I was going to touch on that. It's a way to quantify things and understand that the goal is to be perfect. You may not be perfect, but it's not necessarily black and white. You can have 4 out of 5 points and still be successful. And we're human beings. We're gonna, I've spoken to many people where it's like, I missed my session this week. But I think putting yourself in a situation where you can get evaluated is
Yeah.
key, and understand that it's going to hurt. It's going to feel
Yeah.
uncomfortable, but that's
Yeah.
what growth is. We've all gone through those awkward periods when we were young and we grew, and your body is awkward. You don't know how to use it. That's growth, right? Growth is uncomfortable. You know, stress makes you grow. And going back to the fitness thing, if you're in the gym or you're running and you feel a little bit of a burn or a soreness the day afterwards, that is your muscles growing, right? It's the same thing for inside here. You can grow that way. So I think that is key.
Absolutely.
I think one of the biggest questions we get, and it's going to vary depending on who you are, but you know, how often should people look to be held accountable? You know, should it be a daily thing, a weekly thing, a monthly thing? I don't think there's a true answer. I think it needs to be consistent though. So you need to have your group and say, hey, like you said, every Sunday, boom, I'm going to call you, Skype you, email, you know, handwritten letter, whatever it may be. Could be once a month. It could
just be a text
quarterly
message.
Exactly. It could just be a text message saying, hey, just how are you doing? Another thing too, this is key. And I think this is a good tactic now, and kind of the, you know, me and you were still kind of old school, but the social media age, it could be something as simple as, you know, you could have groups on social media and just say, hey, I'm going to do a post every day. I think something like saying I'm going to do a post, I'm going to share an idea, a setup, or share a picture of me studying. Doing that every day is another form of accountability. This is a little known story, but you know, people often ask, how did I get into teaching? And honestly, I never planned on teaching. I started gaining traction, with a blog. It was, I literally wrote a blog entry every day, and it was mainly for myself, to kind of get my thoughts and whatnot out. And my mentor recommended, like, hey, you make it public. That way, you know, you're held accountable. And I had a few trading friends. I would say, hey, just, you know, can you read this every day just to keep track of how I'm doing? And it just caught steam. It just caught steam. But the original purpose was like, hey, I just wanted to put myself out there. It wasn't for, it was journaling. It wasn't for anyone else but myself. But knowing that I put it out there to the world, that was my way of holding myself accountable. And you can do the same thing on social media with a journal, a podcast, a screenshot, whatever it may be. I think that's a cool little thing you can do in this day and age.
Great tips. So look, put yourself out there. Telling someone what your goals are, that's really powerful. Like, take the time to sit down and go, where do I want to be 3 years from now? Write it down, tell the other person. Get an accountability partner. Do a point scoring system. So you share a little back and forth every Sunday. Sunday works well because it's the start of a new week. Maybe you do two. So you get back the one that you said you was going to do, and then you send the clean one of what you're going to do next week. And you do that on a weekly basis. One thing I would just advise you on accountability groups, as Akil really just touched on there, is it is there to be quite tough. Accountability isn't this comfortable. If you're doing it for a gimmick and just to be in a group, I'll be in your accountability. We're in an accountability group. That's not really benefiting you. And I would say, have a 3-strike rule. You know, if someone doesn't come up with their thing after 3 weeks, get rid of them, because it's just pointless. So you get another one, and you will end up with this one core group that are just smashing it. And the groups that I've been part of that do that are still meeting today, 5 years later, on Zoom once a week, 10 minutes, just quickly, what we're working on, what we're doing next week, what are the goals? Okay, see you next week. And that's still going on 5 years later. And it was all the ones that fell out of one group, out of another group, and form the group of the ones that not getting their sheets in, right? Because that's where you want to go. So you start the process now, and you'll eventually find a really good group. And let us know who you've met through this channel. Let us know if you formed the group. Definitely, we'll be back next week to talk more about trading topics, but I'd love to see what groups are forming here and what accountability measures you've put in place. So I think that's it for another week, Akil.
Yeah, man, time flies, these little breaks.
and this is totally unscripted, and we just come off the cuff, and it's cool. It's good to let off steam.
Yeah, and I would add this before we head out. I mean, again, this week's topic came from someone who watches this show. We do have ideas. We teach, so we have a natural progression of what we think or what we know traders need to learn. But understand that, this show is a platform where you can ask the questions that you want to ask, maybe stuff that you're not hearing on other platforms or other sources. You leave those comments below. We read through each of them, we discuss it, and we'll say, hey, let's talk about this because this is what traders want to hear. So this show is made for you guys. So don't be shy. Don't be embarrassed. We talk about a good community. This is, not one of those, the people that watch this show aren't the people that are going to laugh at you and bash you if you leave a stupid comment in the section below. There's nothing stupid, right? Unless you're like, hey, tell me which way to trade right now. I want to blindly follow it. Then you're an idiot. But aside from that, don't be embarrassed about asking questions. There's no dumb questions. You will get an answer and you'll leave more educated than you were coming in. And that is the ultimate goal. So don't be shy. Don't be shy about any of it.
Amazing. Excellent. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel right now as well, because it will help us get these messages out to a broader audience. And until next week, remember, less is more. And we'll see you next week. Have a great trading week. Take care, and we'll see you then.
Thanks for joining us for the Trader Coffee Break. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to never miss a live discussion. Follow our hosts on social media. And remember, do nothing to gain perspective on everything. See you next week.